Hey, joining us here on the Marr Army Rock Show now, in our efforts to cover music all around the world and bring it to you, we're heading all the way over to the other side of the world, and I've got Billy and Shannon from The Virtue on the line. Guys, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi, how you going? Thanks, man.
And, hey, first of all, I want to thank you because, for folks listening, so I just woke up after a late night show here, and it's 1:30 in the morning there, so I really appreciate you guys joining us.
That's okay, thanks. That's all right, man.
Now, hey, I found you guys online and have been listening to your new album, Brain Stew, or last year's album, I guess, really, 2013. First of all, give me a little bit of a background of how this band formed.
Well, we've been together probably about 3 years, I'd say, and I don't know, we were just sort of friends from other bands, and basically just got together, shared a bit of a common interest in the music we play, and yeah.
So, Brain Stew, which, by the way, you can do a name your price thing out there on Bandcamp, and I strongly suggest people get out there and do that. Tell me about how that album came together. Did you bring elements from your previous bands? Is this all new writing? Give me a little history of Brain Stew.
Well, it's actually our second EP, so basically we listen to a lot of All Time Low and another band called 4 Years Strong, so we sort of try and blend that together and just sort of do the music that we want to play. And that we want to write, so it's good that we're able to do that. And like you said, it's basically available for whatever you want to pay for it. So, we can give it away for free if we want. But if people want to pay for it, then that's cool too.
Yeah, and I suggest people help. I know I don't know anything about the music scene in Australia, but I don't imagine it's much different than here. That strongly suggest people contribute a little something because it's still tough making it in the rock world, no matter where you are, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I can imagine that the music scene is fairly similar as it is in the States, but it's obviously a lot smaller over here. We've only got a population of 22 million people or something like that, so I think a gold record in Australia is 10 times less than it is in Australia. In the USA, I should say. So that sort of gives you an idea about how much smaller the music scene is.
So I guess that really makes we've become pretty good friends with a band called Like a Storm out of New Zealand, which it's a different country, but it's in your part of the world there. Are you guys finding that you're branching out? You're talking to me today. Has social media been, I guess, a pretty big important thing for you guys?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, Facebook and Twitter have been probably the reason that we're able to reach the people that we reach. And the fact that our music is free as well sort of really helps us to sort of tap into different countries that we would probably never go to, and it's just really great to share our music with everybody. We're not out to make $1 million. We're out to make good music that people want to listen to.
Now let's talk a little bit about that music. I love the different kind of, I'll call them clever or quirky lyrics in some of your songs. I'm going to ask you about a couple of them. So tell me about the song "Sega Does What Nintendo Don't."
Okay, well, it's funny that you mentioned that. We're actually sitting in my bedroom at the moment in front of probably about, I'd say, 30 or 40 retro video game consoles. And that's sort of what I'm into as a side project to the band. And Sega Does What Nintendo Don't is actually a reference to Genesis Does What Nintendo Don't, which was apparently part of an advertisement for the Sega Genesis back in the 1990s. So essentially that whole song is pretty much a narrative of the second level of Sonic 2 and how much I hated it back in the mid-90s.
That's hilarious. I love it because the question I had was, what is it a metaphor for? Is there anything more than that, or it's just basically a blast at that game?
It's funny that you say that because it's actually not a metaphor. Pretty much everything is actually literally about the game. There isn't really a metaphor. It's a pretty literal description of what happens in that level. So
that has got to be one of the most unique songs I've heard, man. I've never heard somebody describe a level of a game quite like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, we've actually got a song in our first EP, which is it's called Love Song. And it's about my love for Bruce Willis, and it's entirely made up of Bruce Willis quotes and Bruce Willis movie titles. So, and it tells a story, but really, if you're a Bruce Willis fan, you can see every quote.
Now, another one I wanted to ask you about. It's so funny. I love talking to you about this because you mentioned the first EP, which, as I started to ask that first question, I forgot about. But I went back and listened to that, and you referenced Kenny Rogers in there as well. Where did that come from?
Oh, you know what? I can't even remember where that came from. I think we were just messing around with some country stuff in a band practice one day, and I'm not even sure where that came from. There's references to David Blaine and I think Star Trek in that same song, so that sort of gives you an idea about what we come up with.
Now, I haven't seen a music video yet, and now that I'm getting to know you a little bit and talk to you, first of all, have you produced a music video yet? I don't see one.
No, we haven't produced anything yet. We do have plans to bring out a music video for Batarang.
Yeah.
Which is, as you know, well, as you probably have guessed, about Batman, I should say. So, yeah, hopefully we'll bring something out in the next couple of months.
So what's the vision for that video? Do you picture a kind of a superhero thing, or would you go the more live music route kind of thing?
Well, actually what we're planning on doing is pretty much getting someone and dressing them up as Batman and just doing Batman things in public, basically. Seeing what people do. Go and try and beat up some bad guys in public or something.
Now, you guys sound like an absolute blast to hang around there. So tell me a little bit about what a Virtue live show is like.
Well, that's a good question. I guess it depends on the live show. Basically, we're a pretty energetic pop-punk band, so if you guys are familiar with American hardcore or anything, basically we play a genre that's halfway between, I'd say, pop-punk and American hardcore, so it's all about the moshing and that sort of thing at our shows. Can get a little bit hectic sometimes, but, it's all in good fun, and, we're there for the kids and there to give them a good night out,
So, is there, when you look at the Australian music scene, it's tough over here in the States right now. The genre of rock and punk and even to a lesser degree hair metal is kind of coming back. What's the big trend right now in Australia musically?
That's a good question. Well, at least where we live, we're from a little town called Newcastle in New South Wales, which is on the east coast of Australia. In our town, everyone's sort of into American hardcore and that sort of stuff. But then again, we also have this government-funded radio station called Triple J, which is actually becoming one of the biggest radio stations in Australia at the moment. And they have a lot of indie sort of stuff on there, so that's becoming a really big thing as well. Basically, the major festivals in Australia are sort of halfway between that punk, hardcore, metal, and then halfway into the indie garage subgenre, I guess.
So that's a good segue for festivals. Tell me a little bit about. I saw something called a Goats Festival there on your Facebook page.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Goats Festival is just a festival that's in a place called the Central Coast, and there's about 10,000 people. They play about 40 bands across the day, so it should be pretty fun. Anyone that may be listening to this from Australia, feel free to come down, but I can't imagine that there's many Australians listening to this, but you never know.
Well, I can tell you there's a lot of people listening up here on our end that would love to come down and make the trip and see you down there for that.
Hey, well, it's a free show. If you want to jump on the plane, then come down.
Now, is that an outdoor festival?
Yeah, it is. It sure is. Yeah, it's a couple of stages, about 40 bands. Yeah, it's a pretty big sort of deal.
Now, you guys are moving into, to show my ignorance here about the world and how it works, but I guess you guys are moving into fall. Is that correct down there?
To be honest, I don't even know.
I guess it's always nice.
Something like that.
Yeah, in Australia, we keep track of when it's really, really hot and really cold. And so cold is probably not even that cold, but it's getting cold now. It's not really hot, so take that how you will.
So I was fascinated by your love of the vintage video games there now, so I got two questions about that. What's your favorite original Atari video game? Let's start with that one.
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. It'd have to be Missile Command, probably. Something like that. Missile Command or Asteroids. You can't go wrong with Missile Command and Asteroids. That's where it's at. When I think of Atari, that's what I think of.
Now, do you guys pretty much exclude? Do you still are you into the new kind of modern games, or you're talking about games from my era? Because I'm an old guy, so I remember all those. But are you into modern games as well, or just the old ones?
Yeah, well, I actually have a YouTube channel as well. I play Battlefield a fair bit and Call of Duty and that sort of stuff. What do you play, Shannon?
I don't really play anything, eh?
Shannon skateboards. Shannon goes outdoors. I mean, what is that?
I just hang outside and not talk much.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great combination for the genre of music you guys play, man. Skateboarding, being outside, and video games. It brings me back to all the great kind of pop punk music of the '80s when I was a teenager, I guess, late teenager.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, hey, one more thing. Have you guys played outside of Australia yet, or is that something you, I guess, obviously would hope to do at some point, expand a little, or?
Yeah, we'd love to. We haven't actually played overseas yet, but yeah, we tour all around Australia. The problem with Australia is that it's so far away from everywhere that, unless we want to play in New Zealand, it's sort of it costs an arm and a leg to get anywhere. We've got a mates band who toured over in the States for about a month, and I think it cost them upwards of $60,000-$70,000.
Wow.
So for an independent band, that's it's a hard undertaking, especially if you haven't broken that market yet. So
yeah. Well, hey, listen, I do hope someday, somehow, through the way the world works, to get to meet you guys. And I found you, through Twitter, and just started. I listened to bands all the time. I really liked what I heard, and really enjoyed getting to know you guys a little bit. So, anything big coming up you want to tell people about, or like I said, I know we can't just jet down there, but anything else going on in your guys' world?
Well, we've got a new single coming out very soon, so I guess if you want to take a look at our Twitter page or our Facebook page, both of the URLs end in The Virtue Band, so check it out. We'll have a new single very, very soon, and you can grab both of our EPs for free from our Bandcamp page. So they're all linked on our Facebook and Twitter pages, so if you want to grab some free music or check out our new single, then add us up, and yeah.
Hey, awesome, man. That's Billy and Shannon from the band The Virtue out of Newcastle, Australia. Guys, thanks so much for being on the show tonight. And we're going to spin some of your music tonight, a little bit before the interview and a little bit after. And I thank you once again for working with the time difference for us here.
Cool. No worries. Thanks for having us.
All good, man. Thank you.